Hey there, YouTubers. So tonight I have gathered some new thoughts and ideas. Probably also a bit of a revelations about money, so far as I can perceive and understand. So that means tonight I'd like to talk more about my own interpretations and understanding about money based on my previous and of course most recent experiences. um, I I doubt I gathered by dealing with clients, projects, and people, also by by processing and a multitude amount of information coming from various sources. So first of all, like I said in my previous video, in fact, um, either way you look at it, or whichever way you choose to look at money, in fact, money is one of the most great equalizer, for every human being. It um, it neutralizes the disparities between people for as much as it can. And here you might ask, here you might start to get skeptical of what I'm saying, but you try to consider um, the functionalities of money, and and you will see that in fact money equalizes all those visible um, all those visible sorry all those visible disparities of pretty much all qualities, characters, and quantities you can see among among other human individuals. Of course, since animals, they don't use money as medium to exchange thoughts, items, physical objects, or non-physical or intangible, copyright or knowledge. So in fact, so as long as you can gather some some amount of funds, then it automatically qualifies you for making a certain purchase of certain products or services. Like I said, I used to be extremely broke, so broke that I couldn't even afford a meal while I got myself stranded in Sydney, Australia. So, and I from time to time I tend to kind of regret the decision that I departed from Australia to China, because via one just by one decision I lost everything I've had in Australia, except a handful of things, including but are not limited to several friends, and the business entity is still in fact operational, up and running. So except all of those things, I have pretty much lost everything I once possessed in Australia by making that decision. And then I that gets me pretty upset. Even to now, I still don't quite enjoy making that decision, because I pretty much bet everything I once I've once been striving to practice to excel, and I also invested my dreams onto acquiring permanent residency in Australia, and yet that's all past tense. I am beginning to accept the fact that I stand very little chance going back to Australia. So let's try to put the past behind us and focus on the present. So yes, so you see there, through such experiences, I have learned the fact that money in fact equalizes all those visible disparities and qualities among human individuals. Though you might argue against my statement here with some other facts that, yeah, you see there are though the world is unfair, there are lots of people who are currently living in poverty. What about them? Why are they poor? Why are they suffering from poverty and discrimination and all those sort of poor living conditions? What caused them to live in such poor living conditions and with that low quality of life? Well, in fact, you first of all have to understand another simple fact is that people are greedy, and that does not preclude me, neither does it preclude you. We're all greedy. We're all, we're all wanting something more, not just more physical or tangible material possessions, but also more love, more care, and more, let's say more or higher standard or higher quality of living, particularly for those who do not feel content with what they have, with what they with where they are residing in and whatnot, and etc. And so far as I can see, it's a very natural response towards outside stimuli, that we all want better quality of life. So which means we all need to make money, and so long as we still choose not to escape from the civilization, so long as we still choose not to live like a barbarian in the wilderness, we still have to use money as a medium to exchange ideas, knowledge, experiences, items, as well as resources and whatnots, and etc. etc. The list can go on and on. So you see, without money, people can't trust one another, because the world is teeming with lies and deceptions. But one thing, we have one tangible item called currency, called money, can actually bridge the gap, which can bridge the gap between two parties who are considering making some trades or trading something for another thing with one another. So without money, we basically lose the tool or the instrument to bridge the gaps between to bridge the gap among human individuals, so that they can exchange items and and knowledge, and also experiences, and also bear in mind that whenever you spend some amount of money, it basically means you use money as an incentives, as sort of a reward for whatever thing other people have done for you in exchange for that. So basically, money, it plays a vital role in saving your time and effort while making such exchange. So because for humans, of course, we all have one brain, a pair of hands and a pair of legs. That means we have 4 limbs. And therefore it means we just can't excel at everything we choose to do. We will always have weaknesses, vulnerabilities, and also advantages over certain people when it comes to performing a certain task, such as cooking, such as driving, such as doing some research, and probably also play with politics, or toy with politics, whichever whichever expression you prefer to name that or categorize such human behavior. So yes, so we need money to ensure the circulation of ideas, of resources, of people as well. And also, in case you haven't noticed, the world, for certain nationalities, they still need visa to travel to another country. Such as in my case, I still hold a Chinese passport, and whenever I wish to pay a visit to Japan, then I still need to apply for a visa to Japan, no matter where I choose to go, no matter which city I choose to pay a visit to, so long as the city situates itself in Japan or in any other country where whose regime has stipulated that one certain or a group of certain passport holders from certain nationalities still have to apply for a visa in prior to their trip to such country. So yeah, in case you hadn't noticed, money can in fact neutralize that barrier. In fact, we need money to overcome trade barriers. So, and because for certain reasons, for certain series of reasons, a certain human individual or a group of human individual, they cannot or will not receive a grant of visas from certain regimes of certain countries, probably due to due to some histories, some histories of overstaying in that country, or probably due to some other adverse information that could make or cause that regime or the authority to think twice about their visits to their country. I'm not a historian, neither do I hold the sufficient amount of knowledge and experiences or qualifications to claim myself, to claim to be a historian or some sort of a researcher you know, in a certain realm or field of study. But so far, what I'm trying to convey here gives you a bit of a general knowledge and probably also a bit of a common sense. So far, I can gather. So bear in mind that in case you couldn't or wouldn't secure a visa to a certain country, money can still help you doing business with that country nevertheless, which means money transcends trade barriers. It transcends the borderlines of territories and countries, all together. Yes, and last but not least, so long as you can gather a sufficient amount of funds of money, you can make certain things. You can make certain things happen, like purchasing a sex doll in case you kind of suffer from similar conditions like I do here, because I have basically lost faith and trust in female human individuals, especially Chinese females, because I all consider them vicious and vicious, unforgiving, not compassionate, so on and so forth. So yes, but enough with the reasons why I chose sex dolls rather than women at this point. So whenever you gather the money, it encourages you to become more self-confident, to have more confidence in yourself that good things can happen because of you. Of course, on the surface, good things still happen, blessings still occur due to the blessing you always have from God. So yeah, whatever you choose to, whichever way you choose to rebuke me, all I can say in response is that money still matters, at least at the moment, at least for now, and no matter, regardless of your gender, regardless of your socioeconomic statuses, regardless of how others see you, regardless of your previous failures and setbacks, as long as you can earn some money more than you previously managed to earn, people will start to at least respect you as a human being. Though I'm not saying money means everything. Even if you don't have money, it doesn't mean that you lose everything, because you still have life. You still have the intelligence, the brain to contemplate about your next moves, to contemplate about your next plans or plans of actions. You still need to look after your own health, including your mental health, your relationships with others, especially with your family members, like your parents or grandparents. And whenever whenever, let's say, whenever you kind of start to get upset about life, about your current situation, you need to keep in contact with people who love you, who care for you. So I know sometimes you just kind of got too exhausted and paralyzed by all the things you have to do in order to make yourself a living during your lifetime. Nevertheless, just send them something at least, even if send them something quite intangible, such as a piece of meat, or a piece of memory, a piece of memes. Yes, sorry, Emmy, a funny meme, a funny meme. Sorry, I don't know if I pronounced, meme that appropriately, but that's the idea. Or even send your old man a passage of the Bible, several verses of the Bible to encourage them, to show your care for him, to show your care for them. Probably yes. Sometimes also send your parents a bit of money, or send them a bit of small gifts where they can practically use, such as a razor or a scarf or anything that you can think of. But regardless, I think it's time I conclude this video. In case you have anything to ask me, please feel free to comment, to write down your comment below this video. And I look forward to eventually meeting up with some of you guys there. And yes, probably in a couple of days, I will be cold calling Facebook for business, and I look forward to seeing my attempts, my effort, starting to bear fruits. And I also like to see you guys' effort starting to bear fruits. At least I'd like to see you guys are trying your utmost best, staying energized and motivated, rather than getting the most prime time of your life heavily squandered, like the vast majority of other people. But regardless, stay tuned, stay blessed, stay faithful, and thanks again for watching and listening. I shall see you in the next video on YouTube. Bye bye. Cheers.